Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. This is your latest transfer news this Friday and it's a big announcement from Jurgen Klopp for Liverpool fans. We'll also be talking about Lavia, bit of a development around that impacts Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool of course. Aston Villa, well, I don't think they're dark horses for next season, but they are making good progress. I think they're better than dark horses. The question is, how good can Aston Villa do? We'll be looking at that. Newcastle bringing in another player and a lot more to get involved in as well. But we're going to start off with Liverpool. Obviously, we're getting more and more interviews with managers now. With the pre-season up and running, you actually are getting interviews and press conferences with managers. Jurgen Klopp has just been talking and basically said that he has a contract with Liverpool until 2026. He can't leave and he wants to see that contract out. It's 2023. That's another 3 years of Jurgen Klopp for Liverpool fans, and that can only be a good thing because it wasn't that long ago last season when Liverpool were not doing as well as many people thought they would, that there was rumours and talk about Jurgen Klopp going. There was some Liverpool fans saying he should go, which was ridiculous. I don't think the majority felt like that, and I don't think Liverpool would ever get rid of him. But Jurgen Klopp is that sort of coach that just might feel that the project is over and he's done enough and want to move on. So I think from a Liverpool point of view, it's very positive that he wants to stay and rebuild the team again, which is obviously what needs to happen in light of last season. That Liverpool team needs to build and go again, and that's what obviously Jurgen Klopp is looking to do over the next few years. So a positive news update there from Jurgen Klopp for Liverpool fans. Also referencing that he wouldn't take the German job, he wants to take Liverpool. On to Lavia, just while we're at Liverpool. Look, Liverpool need to go and buy a midfielder. We know this is going to happen because Fabinho obviously will be moving on. Interestingly, Mane is going to Saudi Arabia now from Bayern Munich. Another one going there. Loads, so many going there. I mean, look, I said it yesterday. I don't want to get into the Saudi Arabian debate. Some people go for money. That's what they're going for. That's down to them. How much of an impact will it have on the Premier League? Premier League's still going to stay the best league in the world. And in some ways, it might benefit the Premier League. It might benefit the Premier League. It might... Saudi Arabia can't buy everybody. And ultimately, you know, let them chip away and do what they're doing. The Premier League just needs to focus on what it's doing. And I still think there's plenty of good players out there. And I think teams like Brighton and Aston Villa are showing this. You can get good players in and still be competitive. So... yeah, I mean, look, let's just see what happens with the Saudi Arabian League. But that is to the benefit of Liverpool with Henderson and Fabinho going there. It creates transfer funds that they maybe wouldn't have got. So what are they going to do in the midfield? I mean, I personally said this the other day. I don't want to push Liverpool in the direction of Polina from Fulham, but he is incredible. Like, he had an incredible season last year. I saw something the other day. He was involved in the most defensive duels out of any player in the Premier League last year. Defenders, anybody. So... you know, if you're looking for a defensive midfielder who can also conduct the game, I think he could do that job, but I don't know that Liverpool will go for him. Lavia has been mentioned so many times, it's almost boring, but Liverpool now are in a position that they've got the money to do that deal if they want to do that deal, and the expectation is that Liverpool will sign Lavia. They are the hot favourites to do that. There's rumour of different players. I think they were saying on Sky yesterday, Calvin Phillips and Amrabat are very, very unlikely, but Lavia remains the number one. They may look elsewhere, you never know with Liverpool, but I think what they do need to do is get that position nailed down quite quickly, because obviously the Premier League season is starting, well, it's still a few weeks away, but it's getting closer and closer, and you want to integrate these players in, don't you? Liverpool's midfield was the problem last year, and if it's going to be the solution this year, they need to get it working together. That doesn't necessarily rule out an Arsenal or a Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea are very locked in with Caicedo. We've said this before. But yeah, the expectation is that Lavia will go to Liverpool unless Liverpool veer off in a different direction. And I think what you can take from that is that if Liverpool want Lavia, they will win the race. If they decide to shift off somewhere else for financial reasons, then obviously it leaves it for somebody else. I just want to bring Aston Villa in, actually. What are your thoughts on Aston Villa? I mean, look, we're always talking about the top 6 or 7 if you want to add Spurs in, and Newcastle, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. And at what point does certainly Brighton, but Aston Villa come into this race? Really intelligent signings from Villa. Amazing run when Emery came in. No real spend in January, no pre-season. And an incredible run from when he came in to the end of the season. Now, he's going to get a pre-season, which I think is going to be as good as a signing, really. Getting a pre-season in the Emery way for Villa will be very interesting. They've got the guy who they bought last summer, who I thought was really good, the centre-back, and I've completely forgotten what his name was, but he's back from injury, so that's like a new signing. They've brought Torres in there as well. They've got Tielemans coming in. I know Tielemans... Look, I wasn't impressed with Tielemans last year, but Emery's a good coach, and if you can get the best out of him, then maybe you get the Tielemans back who was decent. They've just about to bring in this Diaby guy from Leverkusen, who I've been aware of for a little while. I'm sure many of you have, and he had that sort of... He was flirting around a little bit with a player that maybe a Liverpool or a United or an Arsenal go for. Not quite happened, but Aston Villa... I mean, look, it could be another Leon Bailey, which just hasn't worked out, but funnily enough, from the same club. But it shows that Aston Villa have gone around their business very, very well, very efficiently, and improved the squad and ended the season really well last season. So where do Aston Villa fit in this game? And I think it's going to be a really intriguing Premier League season, as we know. Can Aston Villa genuinely challenge the top four? And probably not, but it's going to be really interesting because it's all about how everybody starts this season. I've said many a time on this channel that I worry for Chelsea, not because I don't think in the long term that they'll get better and Pochettino will be a decent coach, but I worry for them next season. I still think there's a lot of instability in that football club. I still think they haven't had the summer transfer window they needed to have. It looks like it's going to all happen late again like it did last year. And although they don't have European football, and that might help them on the training ground because Poch is going to need as many training sessions as possible, I just think that everybody else looks a bit stronger than Chelsea at the moment. And it might be a project season where if he can replicate what Ten Hag did and maybe get to a cup final and get top four, that would be fantastic for Pochettino. I certainly don't think all their problems are going to be solved in the first few months of the season. And I think other clubs maybe... I mean, look, maybe... Who finishes higher, Villa or Newcastle? Do Villa and Newcastle also finish higher than Chelsea? That's a question. Will Chelsea finish above Newcastle and Villa this season? And that's why I think they might struggle, because I don't think there's a clear answer to that question at the moment. And if Chelsea want to progress, then they've got to be finishing above Newcastle and Aston Villa. Just talking about Newcastle, Livramento from Southampton is meant to be going there. This is a guy that I really liked. He went Chelsea, Southampton. He's hardly played for Southampton. I think he's been injured a lot. Southampton are probably going to get about 20, 30 million pounds for him. It's an interesting deal. I think that's a good deal for Southampton, but is it a risky deal for Newcastle? He looked really good, and then he's had injury problems. So if Newcastle do their homework and they can get past the injuries, he could be another diamond in the rough that Eddie Howe has found for Newcastle. He was really, really good, especially when he's on loan from Chelsea at Southampton. So another interesting signing there. And Newcastle now, I mean, I read something about Chiesa and how he wouldn't really fancy a move to Newcastle. He'd rather go to a traditionally bigger club like a Bayern Munich or a Liverpool. I can't see him going to Liverpool, but... maybe this is why Newcastle are having to operate around the areas that they are operating in. I think Tonali's a fantastic signing, but Harvey Barnes, Livramento, then again, they strike me as good signings, but they're risky signings that Eddie Howe has got to get the best out of, whereas they're not the sort of signings really that, you know, your Arsenals and your Man Cities and your Liverpools are going to make. And that's the transition for Newcastle. They're already in the Champions League and they're already doing really well, but they are... in a way, I think they're doing the right thing. You know, they're buying players that sort of suit Eddie Howe and the team he's building. Now, if Eddie Howe was buying people like Chiesa and, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, a Goretzka, you know, big name players going to Newcastle under Eddie Howe, does that upset the balance of the team? Newcastle no doubt will get to that point at some point, maybe not with Eddie Howe in charge, but I think Eddie Howe's buying the right players to suit his team, and obviously he's just got to do what he's done with the Trippiers and the Dan Burns and make them, you know, be able to play at that level. Interesting. Anyway, get your comments in below. Another transfer show update. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Lots to get your teeth into there, and get your comments in below. I'll speak to you on the next one.